Stephanie Buffman for the Gladwin County Record and Beaverton Clarion, and I am here with U.S. Congressman for the 4th District, John Moolenaar. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me, Stephanie.
I'm glad you're here. So you're just into your 3rd month
Yes.
in Congress. How are you settling in?
Well, good. We've got our office in the Cannon Building, which is very easily accessible for people who are coming from Michigan to come and see their office at the Capitol. I've been appointed to 3 committees, and the Budget Committee, the Agriculture Committee, and then one called Science, Space, and Technology.
So the House Budget Committee, how's that working out for you?
Well, that's kind of front and center right now because
Right.
we have to have our budget completed within the next month. And in Congress, the Budget Committee puts the guardrails together that gives an overall spending plan. Our goal is to have a balanced budget within 10 years. The president proposed his budget, which doesn't balance as far as the eye can see. And so we're trying to improve upon that. And then it will go to the Appropriations Committee for individual spending areas.
So what would you say is your top priority right now?
Well, we want to make America competitive for jobs, and we want to have a safe and secure nation. Those 2 areas are very much at the forefront. And so we've been working on legislation to make our country more competitive. We are trying to improve the regulatory climate, rein in some of the out-of-control agencies that are the federal government overreaching. We're also very concerned about the threat from ISIS and what a nuclear Iran would bring in terms of dangers to the world.
What would you say has been your most challenging issue so far?
Well, there's a learning curve, and I served for 10 years in state government and understood the legislative process in state government. Washington is different, but I'm excited to work with the new Republican majority in the House. We also have a Republican majority in the Senate. At the same time, the Senate rules are different, and actually, even though we have a majority in the Senate, they need 60 votes in order to bring something to the floor. So in the case of Obamacare, we in the House voted to repeal Obamacare. The Senate doesn't have the votes to move forward on that. The Keystone Pipeline, fortunately, we passed. That's a jobs bill, helps with our energy security. The Senate did get to over 60 votes, but they needed enough votes to override the president's veto, and that did not occur. So there are challenges even with the majorities, but I believe we're making progress in areas that we can, and I'm excited to the opportunity to serve.
So have you found that it has been possible to reach across the aisle and work with some colleagues?
Well, we've passed 33 bills of a bipartisan nature, and some of those get more bipartisan than others. But even the Keystone Pipeline, which some would argue because the president vetoed it that it was a Republican bill, there were Democrats who supported that bill both in the House and in the Senate. And so we've tried to put legislation together that has a majority and includes a bipartisan support as well.
So what so far has been your proudest moment?
Well, it's just an honor to be able to participate in. There's a State of the Union address. We had President Netanyahu from Israel, the Prime Minister of Israel, gave a speech to the joint session of Congress. Those are historic moments, and just to be part of that is, it makes you very honored to be able to serve. I think the legislation, I had a chance to speak on the repeal of Obamacare on the House floor. I had a chance to preside over the House at one session. So those are all just sort of firsts for me that I've enjoyed being part of. Probably the first area that I feel like I made a contribution in committee was when the President's Budget Director came and made a presentation. I had the opportunity to ask him why they proposed cutting $50 million from the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative. And this is at a time when we found eDNA for Asian carp within a city block from the Great Lakes. And had a chance to ask that question, and then when he responded, well, we didn't spend everything we had before, so we didn't think we'd need as much, I had a chance to follow up and ask, isn't there an urgency here, and why aren't we using all the resources we have to combat the influx of invasion carp? So, I feel that, I'm a co-sponsor of different bills that I believe are responding to the overreach of the Obama administration, and I think will lead to a more competitive country.
I want to take the opportunity to thank you personally. Your office and Kathy Ruth in particular were able to help a very good friend of mine with a situation that her family was dealing with, and I thank you on my behalf for her. And I would like to know if anyone has an issue that they're dealing with and they need your help or they need some guidance.
Sure.
How do they reach out to you?
Thank you for asking. Well, our website is moolenaar.house.gov. We have a district office in Midland. Our phone number is 989-631-2552. And I would welcome hearing from constituents. One of the best things about public service is you do have the opportunity to help people, especially people who have concerns with the federal government and need some help getting to the right people in order to solve the problem. And so it's an honor to be able to serve in that way. I hope our constituents would feel comfortable calling our office or contacting us through the website. For families who want to make a trip out to Washington, D.C. and see our nation's capital, we also want our office to be a great location for them to land and help plan a great week in Washington, D.C.
Well, John, thank you as always for coming and talking with us today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you having me back.